Hello, everyone. Thank you for waiting a little bit for the panel to start. We are ready to go now. Thanks for the interest and in this event, and specifically in this section of the event, which is the panel with municipalities and clusters, where we're gonna talk a little bit about different initiatives, different interests that the cities and regions and public administration, but not only, has regarding the smart city projects and all the planning and let's say European initiatives that can be implemented. I'll give the word today to Christian Moscardi, who's going to lead us in this dialogue. Christian, go ahead.
Hello, good morning, Silvana, and good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for being here. I don't know how many people is connected, but I hope that there is a lot of people. The reason why we are organizing the session today is because it is a result of previous activities that the organizing clusters and institutions have been conducting. The program of partnerships for Horizon Europe is an initiative led by Smart Communities Techs, and as a part of that, Torino Wireless, where Silvana belongs. But in this occasion, we also have gathered the contribution from other clusters like ourselves, the Cluster Digital of Catalonia, which is located in Barcelona, Catalonia. Also, we have the participation of Manuel Singla from Cap Digital in France, Daniel Cosnita from Romania, Clustero, and also Kasi Sohail from Smart Innovation Norway, and additional parallel institutions like the European AI Alliance and the Eureka Expert Database. So in this sense, why clusters are getting together to talk about smart cities, to talk about communities, and to talk about European projects? Well, the reason why is because clusters are, let's say, agents that try to generate projects in order to bring solutions to the challenges that the cities are putting on the table, right? Clusters, as you might know, are agents that gather companies, research centers, public institutions, universities, and at the end of the day, stakeholders that have an interest in advancing either the digital transformation of society, either achieving a more sustainable or greener economy and industry. And therefore, the reason of these sessions is to gather all these different stakeholders from all the different ecosystems, generate these dialogues, and generate European projects that can be funded through the different calls that the European Union is, apologies for that, the European Union is launching in the coming months. Just as a brief explanation of the program, we had a plenary session on April the 12th, and in that session, we gathered not only the clusters, but also keynote speakers, and then many cluster members that made presentations of possible project ideas, and also those that presented their competences, expertises, and the activities that they normally develop. I already explained why clusters were present. Then we had keynote speakers, which were professionals that have a long experience in smart cities. And the reason why we invited them is because we needed some kind of contextualization, some kind of inspiration, some kind of broader vision of smart cities in order to allow the participants to understand where are the challenges, where are the problems to be solved, how they could fit their ideas or competences in this constant development scenario. And through this exercise, we allowed a series of brokerage events, which we can call one-to-one meetings, that have started from April the 13th and are still going on until tomorrow. And we did that through a platform a matchmaking platform that has allowed all the participants to schedule meetings one-to-one and to share their knowledge, to share the will to collaborate, their ambitions, their ideas. And from last year's event, and also we hope from this year's events, this generates a lot of opportunities because in the European projects spectrum, one of the most important challenges is getting to know other participants, other partners. The European Union, the European Commission has a platform to look for partners, right? But everyone can fill in the profiles, what they do, what they're looking for. But that's not only a scenario where they can look for partners. This is an example of an additional scenarios, and we hope that we are contributing to generating more European projects. Then finally, in this program, we are here today, which is the panel of municipalities. In this sense, because of agenda, obviously, we try to gather many cities, but we only been lucky enough to have the participation from Anka Chimpanu and Lara Joan Olsen, together with Michael Af Ekenstam. And I always say, I hope they are pronounced correctly, all of your names. And if not, you can correct me. And the reason why we are having these representatives of municipalities is because they are the last or the most important agents in terms of bringing solutions to the cities, right? They can explain what they do, what are their challenges. They are living in their regions, in their cities, and they know where they want to go. So these are the representatives from the municipalities. We are also going to be inviting in the clusters, the representatives from the clusters, which is myself, Silvana, Manuel, Daniel, Kwasi. You're also invited to participate in the talk. And well, now the session, we would like to start it having a brief presentation or a long presentation, however you like, from these municipalities to learn your plans, your interests, your initiatives, your experiences, not only in the development of your regions or your programs, because we can have the perspective from a single city, we can have the vision of a rural smart region or a bigger region, and this is also one of the concepts that we've been evaluating. It's not only about cities, because nowadays there are smart cities, but there are also a rural part of the regions, and there's also a combination of these two elements, right? So I will give the floor to Ana Shimpanu from the city of Iasi in Romania, so she can explain what I just said, their interests, plans, initiatives, and their experiences, and also how they see the European projects as a facilitator to move forward, to advance, to develop solutions. So Anna, thank you very much for being here. You're free to, I hope that I presented you correctly, and please enlighten us with your participation.
Well, hello, sorry for being a bit late. Municipality of Iași already implemented like 7 initiatives regarding electric buses, smart mobility systems, smart traffic management systems. I can talk of each one, but I would like to say that each cluster and each kind of meeting like this is really important for us, because we can have some networking sessions. So in order to manage and let's say develop, we have to gather information from each country, and it's better for us to see this in action. We've already made some big improvements over the green mobility systems, because we already purchased electric buses and trams, and we've already purchased bicycle track designs for the whole city. So we've already implemented alternative ways of transportation. This is the thing that I do for the city hall. So I'm working for the electric scooters, the master plan of bicycle tracks, and usually green mobility ways of transportation. So I can tell you about this, and I can tell you also about the smart waste management system that we have, or the smart public illumination, as well as the fact that we've got some national awards for completing some local projects about smart mobility, or let's say different kind of projects that we try to integrate and have innovative solutions for the citizens of Yash County. If you have questions, I would gladly like to answer to them, because I don't know exactly what should I tell you more about. We're at the moment we're working for the smart governance solutions. Okay, we're trying to digitalize every public services that we offer, and trying to integrate them into a platform, so it's easier for everyone to understand and know where to start from, or what's the development of each individual project. So, you have any questions? I'm answering to you.
Well, that's very interesting, because you somehow frame the activities where you are developing projects. You're talking about smart mobility. You're also about smart illumination, and also obviously the full transformation of the digitalization of the public services. So as a brief introduction, that's fantastic. We can move on and then present the other municipalities. So then once everyone has made these presentations, then we can start making questions about different strategies. Now, therefore, I'd like to introduce Laura Johan Olsen from the Lofoten Regional Council in Norway, and she's the program manager for the Green Shift of Lofoten, the Green Islands 2030 initiative. So Laura, if you'd like to. Thank you, Anka.
Thank you so much for being invited. Thank you, Michael, in Smart Innovation Norway, for bringing me into this group. So I represent a regional council. I'd like to present the Lofoten Islands to you. We are a rural part of a rural country, which is Norway. We are more than interested in being part of EU applications and EU projects, although we are not directly EU members, but we are a possible partner as any other. All right, so geographically, we are situated very high north in Norway. It's a group of islands. It's an archipelago of many islands stretching out from the northern Norwegian coast. So the regional council is a group of 6 municipalities, and these are all 6 municipalities of the Lofoten Islands. Compared to your number of people, I would assume you think these are small municipalities, and they are, even in Norwegian standards. So this very smallest municipality of these 6 count only 500 people. The biggest count 11,000 people. So the group of islands and the region that I speak on behalf of counts up to 24,000 inhabitants in total. The economy sector that we are traditionally and also now based on is seafood. It's traditional coastal fisheries that is still being managed and producing well, cod fisheries, and there's a growing export from aquaculture sector with export to Europe. So we do have a good seafood economy, and the tourism economy has been big for many years and even decades, and it is growing. So these two sectors are our big economic sectors. And we don't have any large single site industry emissions of climate gases. So when we are talking about reducing climate emissions, we have to look into all sectors. We don't have one specific place to cut our emissions. So this is why this whole program that we now call Lofoten, the Green Islands, aim to reduce emissions and aim to become a low emission society within 2040. So we're starting on a very scratch basis now. This program has only recently, now in February, been voted in and agreed upon in the municipalities. This program is also a partnership with the regional council and the municipalities and two private sector organizations. One is the destination company, Destination Lofoten it's called, it's the tourism destination company, and a energy company called Lofotkraft. So we have the energy sector and the tourism together with the municipality in this program. But it is a program that wants to, we have many goals. I'll tell you that we have in this program that were agreed upon in February, decided to achieve more than 100 goals. And I said that we have to achieve goals within all different sectors of the Lofoten Islands, because there's not one single place to cut emissions. So that is why we have divided or opened this vision to include 6 different areas. And the vision is that Lofoten will be powered by renewable energy in the not so distant future, and that Lofoten is a great place to live, and that our business sector is both sustainable and viable. So we are working hard to achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals of 2030. So the 6 sectors, I'll just list them up for you, and then it's the public sector. So we have aims and goals to achieve environmental requirements in public budgeting and procurements. And the number 2 sector would be the transport zone, which we want to be a 0 emission transport zone. Renewable and low emissions as a tourist destination is our 3rd sector. And then low emission in coastal fisheries and low emission in agriculture and aquaculture is also 2 program areas. And the last program area is to achieve low emission status in aviation and to work for electric aircrafts. Can I share one slide for you? Yeah. So I just want to present, I think it's important to present the way the island looks, because I feel distant sometimes to the European continent. Can you see this screen? It's one slide of.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So this is how the set of islands come out from the coastline of Norway. You don't see the coastline of Norway. This is only the archipelago. So we are 100 kilometers, 150 kilometers long from driving from one end to the other. And then there are 2 islands coming out at the very end. These are somewhat long distances, but in between here, we're quite narrow stretches. So some way you could say we are definitely rural, but the way communities are based and built in these islands are quite urban, in the sense that we are situated around this little center. We call them fishing villages, but the villages are traditionally constructed in an urban way. So you are able to walk around the center and then perhaps drive to the next center, but then the next center will be in the same manner, like a little urban site, although very small. And we are situated this far from the Norwegian coastline or the mainland, so that when we drive from one end to the other within the island, it takes 2 hours. But then driving to the mainland takes 6 hours, driving from the shortest area to, not driving to the mainland, but let's say driving to the main city of the mainland, Bodø, or even where Michael lives, which is in a similar, same neighboring region, it takes many hours. So driving is good in the island, within the islands, but then we very often travel by sea. So we have ferries and speedboats that takes us to all these tripled lines. They go to the city called Bodø, and it's our, let's say, regional city. So for driving out of the islands, you rather want to either go by boat or even by plane. So I just wanted to show you this slide because it says when we come to transportation, which is where we have aims and ambitions to achieve zero emission transport zone, it's within these islands. And hopefully also aviation, working for green regional aviation in Northern Norway would be highly, particularly good for us, because flying from the islands to this same regional city takes 20 minutes. So people go by plane here like you go by bus, although very expensive. So when we go, sometimes taking kids to the dentist, they have to take the plane 20 minutes because it's not really that far, but it's by over the ocean, and then driving around the ocean takes forever. And even the middle island called Værøy to the far southwest has a helicopter base. So when they go to the city center or the regional center, they go by helicopter. The very last island called Røst, it has a little plane on it. It has an airport. There's only 500 people living there. It's its own municipality, and it has an airport. So when they come to visit us, when we have meetings in our regional county, regional municipality, they go by plane. So when it comes to our ambitions in transportation, we would love to cooperate with any urban new technology that has to do with reducing emissions in transportation, in particularly aviation. We have plenty of goals. I could line them up for you. They are very ambitious, but also very concrete and realistic. But we haven't started really working on this because it was only agreed upon, and it has been worked and formulated and discussed up until February this year. So we're starting now. So we have high ambitions, not really that much experience. I'm glad to be working with you and Smart Innovation Norway, but our status is now how to achieve these goals, how do we work together with partners in order to achieve our goals? And when it comes to climate gas emissions, I see that Norway is looking to the EU, because it is the EU who has the most ambitious plans and realistic plans in order to reduce their emissions. So we might as well, in this little region of Norway, look directly to the EU and the EU's Green Deal, and to you as partners for financing, for funding, for technology development. And what I would say to you is that the Lofoten Islands is and wants to be a test bed for new technologies when it comes to transportation, when it comes to public procurements and public smart innovations for us to reach our goals. I think you have a lot of competence and experiences that we would like to take advantage of and hook onto and be a partner with. So I think the message would be from us that we are eager and we are efficient. We are able to move efficiently because we are small, we are rural, but also urban. So we do have some modern technologies. We have, I think, the best developed internet standards of Europe. You can be anywhere on any mountain in Norway and you have connection on your cell phone, which is good, I think, for testing out new technologies and digitalization of such. Yes, I'm more than happy to talk more about it, but I think it was good to set the stage for where Lofoten actually is, just on the map and also on our ambitions. Thank you.
Okay, Laura, very interesting. Thank you very much. I think it was a fantastic, broad view of the region, what you do, what are your goals, and the fields of development. I can also invite Michael Ekenstam. Michael, I don't know whether you can add something not only regarding Lofoten, but also maybe from a more national point of view, because of your connection to a Smart Innovation Norway. But we will be more than delighted to have your presentation as well.
Yeah, thanks, Christian. Thanks. Yes, I'm representing the Smart Cities and Communities Department in Smart Innovation Norway, which is one section of our company. And as Laura mentioned, we are currently collaborating with the Lofoten region, as well as other regions and cities in Norway and in Sweden. And we're looking into more and more collaboration with European partners, European projects. But we have specific collaborations with especially small and medium-sized communities in Norway and Sweden, because we see really a need for us as a cluster and us as a knowledge provider to help, especially the small and medium-sized communities that don't have the resources or don't know how to develop their own smart city programs. So we are a facilitator for having them succeed with their smart city and ambitions and sustainable development. And in this, we use the Nordic approach for smart cities and communities, which is very citizen-oriented, and it's a very collaborative approach. So I see our role in collaboration with communities, especially bringing tools to help them collaborate with the local community, the local business sector, the local academic sector, and also bringing our network that we provide within a cluster to kind of expand the community's network to a more national and international level. So in European projects, it's very difficult for example, Norwegian small communities like Lofoten regions to position themselves in a consortium, in a European project, and we can really help them out, as we're doing right now, for example, with Lofoten, that to position themselves in a consortium. So we're as of now we're collaborating on a specific proposal, a Horizon Europe proposal, which Smart Innovation Norway and Lofoten regions have partnered up in a specific consortium. So we can showcase, we can show to our international partners that we have within Smart Innovation Norway, we can show that we have really interesting pilot regions, like the Lofoten region, for example. So we can bring potential pilot sites to an international consortiums, and we can help communities within the Nordics to kind of get in that position and to kind of overcome the barrier that is often found in European projects, with all the administrative difficulties that they have to kind of overcome. Yeah, that was a bit of information of the work that we do within Smart Innovation Norway.
Okay, fantastic, Michael. Thank you very much. I think that, well, probably everyone's doing the same. You know, I have to take notes, and I take notes because obviously you mentioned many interesting things, all of you three, and also all the rest of participants, that if they have any questions, they are more than invited either to put them through the chat or to raise the hand and participate. I'd like to say that many of the topics that we were trying to cover when we were launching this initiative was obviously around the main topics that smart cities have, which is mobility, energy, circular economy, tourism, health, etc. And you, the municipalities present today, represent in different strength, right? Some of these topics. Also, the SMEs and people participating in the previous sessions, they also contribute their expertise connected to this topic. So what I take from your presentations, obviously, is that somehow each municipality has developed, has not only not set some goals, but has developed some kind of a strategy. And what we've seen in the past and in other events that we've been organizing is that strategy is key in order to drive the activities that each region are implementing, right? And Laura said, we have a lot of ambition, we have goals. She's very aware of the specifications of the region, and I really like your presentation because I obviously saw the kind of challenges that you have, right? I mean, the map that you show, Laura, about the flow of logistics and transports that the population is used to or is obliged to use because of the particularities of the region is a challenge, right? And in that sense, one of the first questions that I would like to make to all of you, for the three of you, is when you come down to defining a strategy, how do you do it? In the sense that obviously you have a regional perspective, right? But how this strategy is defined within your regional point of view, national point of view, and European point of view. What I'm trying to say, that I will contextualize my question in the following sense. Here in Catalonia, we have obviously the city of Barcelona as the main city in the area, right? But the government of Catalonia is implementing a program or initiative called Digital Nation and Urban Agenda. And even though the initiative in the beginning was very focused in Barcelona, it eventually had to spread to the overall region, and also other rural areas more connected to agriculture, etc. So from your point of view, how do you define your strategy? I mean, how do you do it? What do you take into consideration? Laura, Anka, Michael, whoever. I mean, just feel free to.
All right, I'm Laura. I raised my hand, so that's why I'm just take the word. So it has been important for this program in order to exist that the ambitions and the goals that has been now stated has come bottom up. So the ambitions have actually come from the private sector and the public sector and the people in the societies. There has been a process of about a year with pure meetings and workshops and dialogues and discussions regarding what exact goals to state, what in numbers and percentages and years and deadlines is to be stated in order to for us to agree on this. It has been more than 200 meetings and 500 people involved, and they have represented up to 170 different organizations and companies. And they have been set in 6 different working groups that defined the different ambitions in this 6 different program areas. That's how it started and ended up. It has been important that the ambitions were realistic enough in order to be achieved, so the people of knowledge and competence and expertise has been involved in these 6 different working groups, and the working groups has been led by not a political but administrative leader of each of the 6 municipalities. There is always a challenge not to become too heavy on the top. So we think that these goals have been achieved or set from the bottom and towards the top. But it is always a challenge to always include the voices of the people actually living in the society. And that is still a challenge, and we are very close to society, so I don't think it's our biggest challenge. But I'm sure in bigger cities, like you mentioned, Barcelona and the region of Catalonia, it's difficult to actually speak on behalf of people living there because there's so many different voices. But this is something that we take seriously, and that we really want to make sure that these initiatives come from the bottom and up. So we've been working very horizontally and holistically when it comes to both population and the topics that we have touched. Thank you.
Interesting. Actually, what I take from what you just said is this bottom-up approach. I think is super important because that's your example there. I was mentioning the Digital Nation and Urban Agenda in Barcelona, which is a top-down initiative. So where do those 2 approaches meet, right? I think that when you said, obviously Barcelona might be more difficult because there's too many voices to be heard. We then hear talk about communities, right? And the end user and how they are represented. And Michael said we also facilitating this access to pilot sites, to communities. So that's one of the elements that I wanted to bring in the discussion: the communities, the participation of people, how the policies, strategies are defined, and how participation is boosted. Anka, what's your opinion, or what's your experience from Romania in that sense?
Well, our strategies were made by local experts with experts from the European Commission. We've already members of the ICC International Cities Challenge, Intelligent Cities Challenge. Sorry, I'm a bit nervous. We've made public gatherings and surveys around each let's say, new neighborhood in order to understand the needs of the citizens and trying to involve the private sector and investors as well. So we try to gather all this information in order to understand what kind of strategies do we need. So we have vertical strategies, but we're trying to find more horizontal measures that we try to integrate and develop, let's say, better solutions for the local people. We're trying to transform our city. Our main objective is to transform our city in a greener city, because our city is situated on 7 hills. So also the pollution is very big because we have to accelerate and all kind of let's say external factors that don't depend on us. It's only because our city is constructed like this. So we're trying to achieve a zero emission city as well. Of course, we don't have such big goals as Laura has with electric airplanes and things like this, but we're trying to do our best and okay. We have more than 500,000 inhabitants, so we are trying to make them, let's say, make them be happy and okay with what the administration does for them. So we're at the border of the European Union as well. So we're in the, let's say, northeast of the Romanian border, and as well we're one of the closest city from the border of the European Union. So we're trying to do. We're trying to have a strategy in the border safety as well. So transportation. We're trying to have transfrontalier security as well covered, and transportation as well. So that.
Okay, no, super interesting, and what I can see obviously is that every region, you know, has its immediate challenges, and obviously Lofoten has this logistics transport challenges. You also are concentrating on introducing the electric vehicles, and what we've seen so far is that it's not easy to define a strategy because there are different priorities. It's so good to have you and the profile of your regions or cities, because normally in some of the events that we organize, we invite big cities, okay? And big cities are obviously a big scenario to test things, to find different kinds of challenges. And there's a lot of ecosystem, you know, around many areas. But sometimes, and as Laura said, it's more difficult to validate a solution in a city because of the many actors that are involved, because of the different policies or interests or politics, and let's say it clear, you know. And sometimes small regions are the ideal scenario to validate solutions and then replicate them to a bigger city or a bigger region, right? We've seen also that depending on the regions, cities, before becoming smart, they have to run through a transformation because there is a heritage of infrastructures, of procedures, of policies, and also the uptake of digitalization is not easy. It doesn't happen in one day. I mean, companies nowadays transforming and digitalizing have a time frame of at least 3, 4, 5 years. So if that's only an example of a city, of a company, imagine how it could be for a city, right? So what I wanted to, I think that Silvana has a question. Is it possible, Silvana?
It wasn't more. It was more like an input, and well, I wanted to comment a little bit. Thank you, Christian, for the word, because here in this part of the strategies and the smart city plans, we, as you know, we are actually covering the entire Italian territory through the Italian Technology Cluster for Smart Communities, focusing, of course, in the smart cities and smart communities topics. But on the other hand, we are based in Torino because we work also for Torino Wireless, with each is an innovation agency, and we are actually the technological partner of the city of Torino, of Turin, and which is a little bit bigger than Anca's, than Iași, and of course it's not an island, so we are more similar in, let's say, in location and in terms as what you were describing, Anca, because we are near to the Alps, and so it makes us also like a really polluted city, and there's a lot of initiatives that has to be taken into consideration in order to, you know, be aware and give, as you were saying, have the citizens happy, but also give them a better quality of life. So actually, since 2015, we've been working with the city of Torino, and we helped support the development of the smart city plan. And it was like a mix of both things, like you were mentioning, Laura, a bottom-up approach, because it started from the city, but then we organized through different, let's say, working groups, working tables, and with all the different entities that were representative of citizens or city divisions within the municipality, or private companies, big and small. So there were different, let's say, working groups aimed at the main strategies that the city wanted to approach. So it was one related to mobility, you know, within the city, one related to health, one related to, let's say, everything else, which was from inclusion of people to tourism. Then was one, of course, related to energy. And so they were these four, let's say, working groups that were reunited for like it was like a 6-period month, and we're talking about where the challenges and how to cope with them. And then we came up not only with challenges in that, but how to solve them, and of course a strategy that prioritized some of the first, let's say, things to do in time, because as Christian was mentioning, it takes time to, once you develop and you have the strategy, you of course have to continually update it, because everything changes, the city changes, technology changes, and the needs, the budget, everything, because you have to have everything into consideration. So I really like this approach, and I just wanted to share with you that one too, and of course also the fact that that having all different, even different locations, different urban, you know, organizations and different territories in terms of geographical, I think it's really interesting to have the way that everyone at the end, you know, the tools are kind of the same, as the way you arrive to an approach to them that is of interest. So I wanted to comment that. And one question I wanted to ask, but I don't know if Christian was arriving to that one, is if have you considered, maybe you already kind of mentioned it and Michael did it too, to propose in the next projects or something your cities as pilot and testing sites for, let's say, companies from your country, but also from Europe, that want to go and test some kind of solution, some kind of a specific, let's say, technology that, of course, is aligned with what you're trying to achieve. It was a question, maybe it's in your plans, it's something that you have considered that you are already doing. So maybe just it was a question about that, about being a demonstrator or a pilot city or testing territory. You see your hand now.
All right, so yeah, I think that would be the single message and invitation to this group, would be that with this program that has now been agreed upon in Lofoten, is that we want to be a test bed for any smart solutions regarding transport technologies. We have specifically said that we want a minimum of 3 relevant pilot projects to take place each year. with a geographical spread in Lofoten. We want to become a preferred testing and development area for zero emission transportation technologies and smart solutions with this project. We want to be a test bed and be part of the evaluation of solutions. And that's why I said that although we are a rural site, the site itself, like the Lofoten Islands itself, may be understood as an urban way of building communities, because it is possible to do biking between places. It is possible to walk to the shop to do groceries. It is possible not to use the car as much as we do. And we don't even have the the big roads to the actual transportation that we need. We do, since we are producing a lot of seafood. There's big trailers and semi trucks loading salmon and also codfish from the harbors and taking them by land on the road to the mainland, because that's the quickest transportation. But it's at the same time, we are a tourist destination. People want to come and drive in Lofoten. It's a picturesque area. And then if you are used to the bigger roads of Europe, you feel that you want to drive in the very middle of the road because it's not big enough for your car, although it is, but the roads are smaller. They're not really built for this transportation that we are using them for when it comes to both the logistics and export of seafood and the tourism. And in our daily lives, I'm sure we can commute in a different way than we are doing. So it is possible to test out urban transportation, smart technologies in little rural Lofoten, because I think we can check many of the requirements needed for urban transportation. So yes, we would like to be a testbed of smart transport technologies.
Thank you. And yeah, it makes sense as you were saying, because I think, as you mentioned, you have any kind of transportation, even is from airplane to bus to trucks that you were mentioning now, to bicycles, and then to the boats and things. So it will make it really, okay, good to know, because in fact, in that ways, for not only for me, but for all the colleagues here in the panel, and also for everyone that is listening, because it's always good to know new cities and new interests. And thank you, Laura. And what about you, Anka? Do you have also already, or having some pilots and testing beds, or are you planning to do so?
We already have a very big IT community that works for us and actively involves in finding solutions with the public factors and the private investors. So we're trying to let's say develop different kind of applications that we already have Yash Mobility platform, which integrates all each kind of transportation. So it's easy to try to choose an alternative of the car, or we already have this application that integrates each kind of transportation and helps the citizens choose a tailored mean of transport trying to. So our digital transformation strategy, it's governed by the Digital Council of Digital Transformation, and it's formed of people from the business medium, let's say, and we have the civil society and public authorities as well formed in this digital council. So we're trying to identify the best solutions for our citizens need. And all our data is open, so if we are trying to implement any kind of solution, we are open to give you our data. We already public this. We can publish our data in order to try to identify any kind of improvement that we could do.
Really interesting, in fact, and this platform that you already have implemented is, I think, is a really good best practice in this way. And the open data, wow, that's also really important, as you were saying, because it's already is there for everyone that can want to contribute. So it's already an open community, and it's really good initiative. Maybe we can talk a little bit more in another moment also about that. Okay, we have 3 hands up. I think the first one was Laura. Thank you, Anka.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I've spoken a lot about transportation, and we can continue that topic. I just wanted to mention our first area of priorities as well from the Lofoten perspective is regarding public procurements and environmental requirements when it comes to the public sector. Anka was mentioning their a smart waste system. I would love to hear more about that. And our challenge as well, situated in this beautiful area and producing seafood to the world, we don't have a good enough system for our hydro and sewage. So any digitalization or smart solutions regarding that perspective is very much welcome to be tested out and tried out in little Lofoten again, because that is not done smart at all and not even sufficiently good here. Thank you.
And Kazi, just to give the word to everyone and then we can.
Yeah, sure. Well, it's very interesting to hear Anka, to hear Laura, to hear Christian and Mikhail regarding all these different challenges. One thing that I would like to point out here is that when we look at municipalities, we look at them, as a hub of data. We see, that they have quite a lot of water-related data. Municipalities own a number of schools, hospitals, old age homes, many other buildings also, and quite a lot of energy consumption, energy related data is there. And then they have quite a lot of many more mobility and logistics related data. They collect quite a lot of data, surveys, stakeholder engagements with their citizens. So as a whole, there is quite a lot of data sitting in the municipalities, and one of the trends that we have seen right now is that municipalities are more interested now to open up that data and create new data related services, create these data markets, open data markets. We know that quite a number of companies, they have experimented these things in other countries outside Norway, but this is a trend, that is quite, pushing a lot here in Norway, that use all of that data and make it open and create many more services. So this is where, that quite a lot of the municipalities, I believe, would be really interested to collaborate. I believe that Mikhail is more of the right person to comment here, but this is one of the trends that I have been observing here in Norway, which I see quite interesting.
Thank you, Kazi. In fact, Mikhail is the next one with the hand up, so I think maybe he will complement what you were saying. So go, Mikhail.
Yeah, and a bit of a reflection of the opportunities and challenges going forward. As you can see, Lofoten has a lot of ambitions, and Romania has a lot of ambitions, and there are a lot of municipalities and communities that have high ambitions and in some cases also very specific strategies like Lofoten. But the difficulty for example, Lofoten is finding the right opportunities within European projects, finding the right partners and right consortiums. So to kind of find the right opportunity to kind of which matches their strategy. So the challenge going forward is to finding the matchmaking between the opportunities and the pilot sites, the possible test sites. And yeah, I see this event as a really interesting arena for kind of elaborating on that opportunity to find the better matchmaking. So yeah, thanks for holding this event.
I like to say something, and it's very interesting, Michael, what you just said, because it's true that from every single region or city, and then the basic exercise is understanding the challenges and trying to work out the opportunities and ways of developing solutions. But what I wanted to, when I was just listening to all of you, I was thinking, that sometimes obviously European projects gathers participants from many different regions. And for some specific challenges, sometimes there's a difficulty, right, in terms of how to implement them, only because, for instance, logistics, there's a lot of solutions out there. Some are just software solutions that are very easily replicable or can be used in an easy way, but some other solutions requires having a company or a team working in the field, right? So in that sense, from your perspective and your regions, is it difficult to boost or to make grow the creation of companies that bring these solutions, or localization of a startup that are the ones bringing those solutions? And I'm asking this because maybe they are national or regional initiatives, right? To feed the startup ecosystems or the ideation of new solutions, but also obviously European projects is a tool in order to allow this communication, right? These startups learning about these test beds and making these connections in order to bring their solutions. So I know it's a very broad comment and question, but how do you see it from your point of view? And if you understood me well, what I'm trying to ask. I think that's a no, right? I will try to ask it again, and this time I try to get it right. I mean, do you see there is a lack of solutions because of your ecosystems there? Do you need proposals coming from abroad rather than being able to develop them on site or in your regions? And is European projects maybe the perfect tool to achieve this?
I do see an immediate interest in being in cooperation and incorporating European solutions to our common challenges when it comes to, let's say, the hydro sewage systems. I'm sure we do have similar challenges, although we are small rural or big and urban. So we do have, in Norway, for example, our national innovation projects regard the maritime sector. It regards seafood and automatization of even ships and robotization of seafood industry machines. So we do have our pioneering projects within in touch with the program of the Green Islands. There is a big national and highly innovative project that has to do with rebuilding and building new coastal fisheries boats in order for them to be run by either hybrid diesel electric engines or even hybrid electric and hydrogen engines. And this is a project that is huge in Norway. It is situated in Lofoten, being carried out here as a geographical site and with our industry of boat wharfs, it's called, and national innovation centers. So this is something that Norway knows. We are good at oil and gas and offshore technologies. So we have our strengths, but I think some of our challenges in the public sector, for example, and transportation, we may look just as much outside our borders. So I think there is an advantage to us to also look for Norwegian national technology innovation, but just as well looking for European partners, because I think, you know, every country and member and partner has its strengths, and we want to take a look to all of these opportunities that we have. So when it comes to public like hydro sewage system and even transportation, we don't see any specific strengths nowhere. So I'm not sure exactly who I'm talking to. I just want to make sure that this message is, the invitation is sent out to as many as possible. When it comes to the aviation and transportation by air, I know for sure that Norway and Northern Norway, and particularly this stretch that I showed you on the map, is it's a place in the lead when it comes to green regional aviation. So I think for sure, if there's anyone into that sector, any within the industry or technology development, I'm sure that is a good area to test out new technologies. Yeah, thank you.
Michael, would you like to say something?
Yeah, just to add on what Laura said, we typically see that in the regions like Lofoten, we have some strong innovative actors, but we're kind of lacking parts of the value chain. So we definitely have to have other participants, other partners coming from abroad to kind of suggest possible projects for Lofoten, and also for Lofoten to be, I guess, visualizing their needs and their needs for specific parts of the value chain, for example, within a topic that they need to kind of build a complete innovative ecosystem.
Interesting. Laura?
I just raised my hand again. I realized something that I thought about earlier when you mentioned you're from Barcelona and Catalonia. I know also that we share similar challenges when it comes to tourism in Little Norway and bigger Barcelona. When it comes to, for example, Airbnb or ways of facilitating tourists that are not possible to actually count for. So we have a little number of inhabitants, and we have a much higher number of tourists visiting Lofoten Islands, just like you probably do in Barcelona as well. So the way taxation and income systems are made, we have a much higher pressure on the islands than we have economy enough to actually facilitate for. So the economy is based on the number of inhabitants. To Lofoten, for example, not so many, and the economy is not based on the number of visitors to Lofoten, which is a much greater number. So so we do share similar challenges, although we are small and Barcelona is big. It regards how to count for tourism, how to manage the nature and the services that tourists want to visit, and actually how to facilitate for the actual high number of visitors that we have. So the tourism sector is really good, and I think it's also somewhat in the lead when it comes to nature-based experiences and nature-based tourists and nature-based tours. So what we talk about now is how to produce and make tourism more regenerative, which is a concept that comes up now. It's we're trying to develop solutions within tourism where tourists actually come and are part of the solution to our challenges. Let's say we have a lot of, since we're close to the ocean, we live off of the ocean, we have a lot of marine litter. There has been examples of tourists coming to Lofoten and at the same time walking on their beaches and hiking in the mountains, and they're actually cleaning and giving more back than they actually and then their footprints. So their footprints are smaller than they're actually giving back. So regenerative tourism is a good concept that you may look at, and it's something that we are in Lofoten, having projects together with other island communities, such as I think Iceland as a nation itself, and also perhaps Scotland. So regenerative tourism is solutions to many of our challenges when it comes to how to facilitate for a sustainable tourism, and maybe something that we share with also bigger cities like Barcelona.
I agree with you, and it's true that there's not only a digital transformation, there must be also a social transformation. And that's also that not only the city, society is facing right now. And one of the things that we see in European projects is that also it's difficult to build up communities around the solutions. For instance, the sector of energy, where we Cluster Digital participate, we see that there's a lot of solutions being implemented for smart grids, for flexibilization of the market. But the challenge here is allowing end users to participate, right? And sorry that I'm connecting tourism to energy, but the main concept here is the community thing. And what I was thinking when you were talking is that when we plan these sessions, we were mentioning for whom. And these are for companies, these are for research centers, universities, clusters, and other entities, right, from the member states. But we were forgetting one, pilot sites or test beds, and we were missing communities. So I think that if we miss these elements in the European projects, we are missing a big part of the picture. And we should strengthen that, and we should put much more effort in identifying these actors. It's not easy, and that's my personal point of view, because building a community, it takes a lot of effort. It takes a legal framework. It takes getting people together. I really liked, Laura, what you said about the gatherings that you organized in order to understand the challenge, all these people, companies, the working groups that you defined. Ideally, that would be fantastic to have it in all of the different regions, right? But it's not easy. It's not easy, and I think communication is key. Clusters also play a fantastic role, because from our experience, we see that even in our area, sometimes for projects, we try to contact pilot sites or municipalities that could be a test bed. But because of the overall politics, administration, organization, sometimes it's very difficult to reach the right person. And you lose a lot of time sending emails, trying to contact one guy that at the end is not the one that could commit. And you know, maybe 1 month after Dayland, it has happened to us just a month ago. We were trying to push a project for the development of digital solutions in rural areas connected to agriculture and transport. And the guy that we were contacting, who was the right guy, he was overloaded. But there was a month later, another guy higher on the scale called me and say, "Hey, yeah, I'm the one, you know, that could help you." And say, "Well, you know, we missed the occasion." So I'm just thinking it would be fantastic, you know, to to have an initiative where all the municipalities, all the possible pilot size testbed can communicate their needs, their challenges. So on the European Union website participant portal, you don't only find research centers, companies, institutions, you also find municipalities and pilot sites, right? Because that's the element that we need to validate the solutions that the European projects are developing. So I don't know whether you guys like to add something to what I said, but we have come almost to 11 o'clock, which is the time that we have planned. Obviously, from my point of view, I'd just like to thank your participation and because of sharing your interest and challenges with us. We invite, obviously, all of the participants to contact you. They can contact directly us or take down notes of your names, or we can send an email to all the participants summarizing what has been discussed today. But we're looking forward, that has been interested, and this can facilitate collaborations between you all. Ilana, would you like to add something?
All of us. Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say collaboration between all of us also, because we have been talking about this, and I think I already see a lot of potential, common interests that there are, or just different, like the same path with different implementations because of the different territories. But it's been really, really interesting to get to know a little bit more about both of your cities and group of cities and islands. So really, really interesting. Thank you very much for participating, and looking forward to start developing projects and collaboration if possible in the near future. Now we have met each other and talk about it. So thank you very much. Thank you, Christian, for all your insights and getting us through this panel really smoothly. And Anka and Laura, a lot of thank you for your participation. Also, Michael and Kazi and Manuel, of course, part of the organizers and the clusters. Thank you again. See you, everyone, and have a good day.
Thank you very much.
Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Collaborate. Thank you.